Hi, Dana. It's Diane Holder.
Hi, Diane.
Um, so as Leilani just said, obviously, I don't know how we can get the plan approved when we don't have um, the dedication of the road yet, or the easement from the road yet, from JT Morning Glory. And another thing is um, all of us neighbors that live out there can tell you that when we turn out of there, whether we're turning left or right, when you're coming from Sholo, so you're driving south,
Mm-hmm.
there's kind of this like hump in the road and corner right there where you can't see the traffic coming. So just the thought of having that, so is that going to be the one and only entrance for the housing community, for all the new houses and condos and all that?
No, I'll take you through that. Here would be the primary entrance, this location right here. And it's a
Okay.
bifurcated or has a landscape median
Okay.
entry. It's probably 60 foot wide of pavement, maybe a 10 foot or 12 foot landscape median, and two 20-foot lanes for right and left
And so
activity.
that would actually
Now,
be the
keep in
main.
mind, I have to sorry, 1 second. I have to make the disclaimer that this is still going through review with ADOT, and they're the ultimate decision maker and on the disposition of access along that roadway. So what we're talking about, what we're looking at here, and we won't hold, cities wouldn't necessarily hold up a rezoning just to wait for those single components. If something changes, it's obviously there's a bit of a risk to the developer, but if we've been in contact and the developer's been meeting with ADOT, and we generally know that these are the locations where they would like those access points. So with regards to Holder Drive, there would need to be a full improvement of that entrance and apron if that does actually go forward.
And I'm not even sure
So-
how that could happen, because when you pull onto Holder Drive on the left side, it's like a drop off. On the right side, it's actually a drainage that when it rains, like water's running down that. And so that's a drainage so that our road's not being washed away that we paid for the pavement for.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how the road could even, but and then the other thing is and I mentioned this to Brian when I went last week and, saw him. Anyways, where the main entrance that you're saying is so close to Holder Drive that those two entrances so close to each other is not safe. I don't see how that's safe. I think I'll go talk to ADOT about that, because for anybody that lives out there, we can tell you if we've got a main drive with over 100 new residents living right there, in and out of there, right by ours, that's too many. That's too close. I don't know why the main drive into there wouldn't be where it is already for the drive-in, because that's far enough away from our road to give it some space. So what I talked to Brian about before, the first time that we ever met with him about this, is there any way that if they're going to put a light or something, and I know right now ADOT's saying no light, but anyways, I was assuming the main entrance would be where it is right now for the drive-in. So I had mentioned to him, well, just in case that light gets backed up and we can't even get out of Holder Drive, could we have kind of a frontage road where we have access from Holder Drive for us to be able to get out over at that light? But I didn't realize that you guys are going to try to have Holder Drive be one of the main entrances.
So I think that frontage portion might be this Marigold Boulevard going through here. Again,
Right.
we're not going to be able to lock down exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Like I said, if there's a substantial change to the plan, we're dependent on ADOT time frames
Yeah.
and schedule and those details. So I am comfortable that there's other alternatives. Like I said, just leave it alone. Don't even use that access. And that's, worst case. But like you mentioned, hey, for instance, at the original meeting or at the last meeting, some sort of additional access could be beneficial. Either way, ADOT will review it, and they'll require full improvement decel lanes and everything else on anything being improved. Yours was processed at a time or the Holder Drive was improved at a time when they weren't paying attention to those types of details, critical details on design standards for roadways. So
Right.
that's a
But
very
there's so much
different situation
frontage
today.
property coming with what they're purchasing that you would think the main entrance could just be a couple of main entrances off of their property instead of, I mean, this is completely changing all of our lives that live out there on Holder Drive. So now not only are we going to be dealing with the traffic on the highway and, and our view, with especially the height, that we're going to be building these conference centers and everything. But now, not only all of that, but now we're going to disrupt our safety of getting in and out of our private drive as well, because now we'll be sharing that with over 100 new residents. So these are just serious concerns that I have, and
Yep. Okay.
I,
Well, and we'll look into it and address it further and follow up with you on it. And like I said, though, we anticipate that Morning Glory property will be developed. You will have neighbors, maybe not in our lifetime, but
I realize
should
that,
plan
and
for
believe
that,
me,
right?
actually, we've contacted them as a family and tried to buy it back from them, and so I realize that someday it's going to. But as of right now, I just don't see how. That'll be a whole nother project. So the thing is if that happens, yeah, Holder Drive makes sense, because that comes along with all the property with JT Morning Glory. So that would make sense. That would be the drive for that whole new neighborhood if that happens someday. But as far
Right.
as the Hollis property, their main entrance should be off the Hollis property that they're purchasing.
We've got to look at a lot. That's a public roadway. The city has to look at traffic and circulation and what is the safest scenario for everybody, and provides access to safe, appropriate access to all parcels. So we'll look into that further. Like I said, obviously they can cul-de-sac and just avoid that access altogether. Having a fire station right at that corner. The city has some interest, to have quick access and not drive through a subdivision, or direct access to ADOT. Now we would have another potential conflict, getting fire trucks out of there. So there's a lot involved. But I
And that's fine
noted
if they
that
can
comment.
if they can get a fire truck off of where that fire department's supposed to go right there onto Holder Drive, I mean, you could do that right now. That's fine, but to have Holder Drive as the main
Okay.
entrance, or one of the main entrances for the entire new development, is just crazy.
Yeah, I think we would call it secondary, and maybe I'll look into that and we can treat it that way too. Like a non-resident entrance or something like that. I'm sure we can talk about options there.
Okay. Well, and it would be
Like-
nice if they talk to everybody who lives out there or come out and pull on our road right there and try to pull out, especially on like a Monday on Labor Day weekend or something, and see how it is getting in and out of there, and the view coming around that corner right there. So a little further down by where the drive-in pull-in is more straight, flat.
Right.
So when
Yep.
you're coming from, right there, I don't know how to explain it. It's like there's like a hill in the side of the hill that you can't see around very far when you pull out. So that's kind of close to that area for there to be a pull-in for that many people pulling in and out.
And ADOT in their requirements require a site distance evaluation and identify what is that site distance, and there's engineering criteria that has to be met.
Okay. So my
And that'll
question
also
is,
be-
and then I'll shut up. My question is, why, out of all of that property right there, all of a sudden are you guys wanting to use Holder Drive, which is a private drive, and go through the whole process of having to get an easement as one of the main turn-ins when there's plenty of their own land?
Well, like I know we did hear somebody wanted a frontage road of some sort, and some way to make this safer. So that's what the idea is there. I can let the developer speak to it, but
It was my
like I
idea
said,
so
it
that we
can
had
simply be
access,
eliminated.
not a main entrance for the, yeah. So, anyways, okay, thank you, Dana.
This is the main entrance, right? That's the secondary.
Okay, well, you started out by talking about Holder Drive and said that was the entrance, so that
just a connection, and we're talking with Jana Potenza about, okay, could there be a dedication and some, way to improve that, to make that a more safe, better scenario
Yeah.
and be utilized.
So if you're
Like I
getting
said,
an easement, you're getting an easement so that that is the main entrance. Otherwise, what I talked to Brian about was literally where we just will be able to pull around and have access to get down to your light if the light gets backed up and we can't get out. That, so.
got it. A one-way of sorts. All right. Well, and there is a traffic engineer on the project, so we'll definitely bring that to their attention and make sure they can address that.
Okay.
Hey, Dana, can I chime in a little bit? A couple things just on motivating ADOT. You're going to have a light which is going to break up the traffic flow, which is going to make things simpler. There is no way that I think that you can build that many units of housing and have the speeds stay the same. I think it's going to require, somebody's going to suggest that it's got to go down and make it safer because they're about that. The last thing is while ADOT is big and powerful and scary, property owners have rights, and property owners have the right to build and develop, and they don't have the power to hold that up. The city has a voice in this. The city has the ability to, if ADOT starts getting stingy or resistant or anything like that, this type of a development, we can go to them and work with them to try to make sure that they meet the safety needs, but allow it. They're not going to be able to just say no. We're not going to prepare the road. The road has to accommodate the use of the property owners, and we will help explain that to them.
Okay.
Great points. Yeah, because their initial response is resistance to stoplights. No, we're trying not to do that anywhere. Why don't you do traffic circles?
Okay.
So, and we have seen them. Their traffic circles are prominent.
They're recommending Holder Drive as the main entrance because I know.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you.
All right. You would want this sense of arrival.
And like I say, if you want to add anything to it, the people on YouTube can't hear unless you're up there. So.
All right. No further questions. I'll just finish taking. So that's one of the changes that evolved into this plan. As well, I also see they've also, the architect has identified where single-story homes would be located, and those would be right through this area, you can see on the plan, surrounding the Gibson's residence. They're being a bit lower in elevation, obviously have a direct view over to those properties. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same format layout that we saw at the December 6th meeting. And most of this PAD and the focus is on this phase one because they've got the detail to it. Just let you know, there's going to be some other, obviously much more detailed design necessary on the multifamily and the hospitality area. So we're going to have a lot more detail on this. So just let you know that is a primary focus of our current reviews. Okay. And then, let me get back onto there we are. There's a blow-up of how, basically a lotting plan of the beginning of the plat design, showing all the right-of-way widths and everything. The proposed modifications is one thing, to our roadway standards is one thing that I mentioned. They've got alleys, a lot of alley-loaded product. There's 3 different product types. You see the larger lots are that conventional single-family design. In this little alley enclave is the patio home product, and then here as well, those have like significantly reduced setbacks. You can see it's very much this compact cluster of homes with alley-loaded garages opening up to open spaces within the middle. Both of those have this exhibit similar character, and then over here we have were the row homes, or basically townhomes, 3-story townhomes lined up with, again, alley access, so rear-loaded, very new urbanist or traditional neighborhood design. So along these frontages, you only see those front doors, the stoops, the porches, and things like that, with all the garage orientation in the rear, access from the rear. And then it has a roadway to extend over to a new design of the amenity area. This area right here, and then we're planning these to be able to be developed independently without a secondary, without that cross through. So we'll have turnaround if needed there until a bridge can be constructed. And we anticipate that probably be coming closer to phase 3. That's one of those changes. And then setbacks, like I mentioned, was one of those other changes. These are the conventional lots. What I asked the applicant to provide were the smallest configurations, like on corner lots. Show me the worst case scenario of setbacks, and that's what they did. So that hatched area is the building envelope with the setbacks. Here's the 10-foot setback here. Here's a 20-foot setback shown from, I think this lot is is near the highway. And same here. So they're reducing the front setback to 10 feet right here, where it would otherwise be 20 feet. And we want to bring that unit forward as long as, and then if this were the garage, that garage would have to be set back 20 feet. That's the single family component, or conventional for the most part. This is the townhome concept, and this would be the corner lot. We're showing a 3-foot setback to the building envelope, and then also a building footprint area, a reduced lot size. They're very compact, like I mentioned, because they have so much open space outside of the individual lots. 3 parks within the single family phase, as well as obviously direct access to Round Mountain Park, the community recreation facilities, swimming pool, and so forth. You know, a compact community could exist without larger yards, larger setbacks, and so forth. And there's that character, a more urban character that they're proposing for this development. And the city, you know, all of us, we like a variety of housing types because that addresses a variety of demographic as well, and income levels and so forth. And then these are those casitas, much more compact, very small footprints, alley loaded for the most part. And again, they're identifying the setbacks within that because they're off of an alley. Obviously, unless you're driving back in those alleys, you wouldn't really know that is a different scenario. We do require all site visibility triangles and all our traffic safety requirements to be met in doing that. So, the schedule, as I mentioned earlier, tonight is the required citizen review meeting, April 3rd, P&Z Commission for recommendation to City Council, and then April 9th, public hearing at City Council, and then if additional meetings are necessary or any continuations and so forth, obviously that would schedule would adjust. So with that, we now have the applicants' renderings that they'd like to maybe speak to. I can transition through these slides, Brian, Tess, on your command. So please, a step to the mic, podium. Got it. Got it. So, thank you, Brian. One thing I noted, you see the white wall here. The city does have a requirement to treat that wall in a manner that's going to blend in with the landscape so it won't just pop out like it is. Well, there will also be a scar below it that will require revegetation and probably do some plantings to help screen that wall, in addition to it being textured or painted in a manner that's going to blend. You see this existing roadway detail in front of the LDS church here that starts to taper down. Initial conversations with ADOT, they'll intend to probably carry that same configuration down past the development or along the development frontage. Now, that again, that's still a moving part. They haven't documented that to us. That was in a conversation in a meeting with them. You see those primary access points there. All right. view of the hillside, probably from right over the top of the LDS church, or maybe towards the frontage a little bit. Chapel in the rear. There, yep, it was basically over the top of the LDS church. And just feel free to interrupt or stop me if you have any questions. Garage access to under podium or under the buildings. Mixed use. Ground floor retail in some of these buildings with residential above. Character of the streetscape and one of the many pedestrian plazas that they have designed in their plan and open spaces. There's your residential community, your homes, the townhome, casita product, and then conventional single family homes. Be the resort convention. I think that's the hotel. This would be the convention on the right, and then a mixed-use building on the left. This would be character of the row home area and that open space park, central open space park in the middle of one of those open spaces. And this is looking down Marigold Boulevard towards Holder Drive. And again, they have a median and tree-lined street there. This is looking at those patio homes on the right-hand side and how they're placed on the site. The 2-story single-family homes across the street. Another view of the same. View looking basically from above Holder Drive across that residential development. So obviously the maneuvering through here isn't necessarily conducive to people cutting through, but we'll look at that further. Pool, an amenity area for the single family. And that's it. Any additional questions? Well, since you're all here on this item, I'll leave it right here. Yeah. So please let me know if you have additional questions or concerns or thoughts.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
Did anybody want to, anything else? No. Dana, we have a question or a comment.
Yeah, Daryl Gibson here. Yeah, I do have, like has been brought up already, the concern over that road going into Holder Road. But it's one thing that is, I thought I would mention, and you'd probably figure it out anyway, is when they do the road there. I don't know if you have an ordinance in place yet on the air brakes on the truck, the Jake brakes and everything. That is nasty coming down off of that hill, and it's really loud. So if you don't have anything on it, you might want to, and if you do, you might want to put some signs up, because even now those people along the front there, they're not going to like it at all.
We try to work in our offices here, and comes down. It's,
right.
we've been fighting that all through.
When you go into Superior, it tells you right there you can't use the brakes going down through there, and it's been that way the whole time. I've just never really brought it up, but it's something you might want to consider. So,
citywide issue that we're still tackling.
Duly noted in our conversations with them, obviously, the developer would probably be interested to have that sign for no air brakes. Tess, you can make that note. Okay. Very good. Anything else?
You seem everything good here. Let me, yeah. Danny, is anything on the council email? Has anybody emailed in anything? I don't have it up. Dana, let's just check the email just in case.
Got it.
And I don't see the council phone. No, so nothing on nothing in the email. So I think everybody's
Right.
is content at this point for the process.
Well, thank you all very much. You all have my number and email. Feel free to reach out. And otherwise, well, the staff report should be done by the 27th, maybe 28th at the latest. But we'll get that out as well as the ordinance and attaching the the amendment
Dana,
document.
the next P&Z meeting, do we have dates or no?
April 3rd.
April 3rd. Okay.
Yep. Staff reports will be out a week before.
Okay.
And we'll make sure you all have a copy or email me just to remind me, though. That's it. So I appreciate you all taking the time again. Thank you so much.
Dana, thank you.